unreal that Ridley Scott is 86 years old and he's making a blockbuster like this. I'm pretty sure when I'm 86 years old, the only blockbuster I'm going to be doing is going to be inside my Depends in a home. Oh, how depressing. Anyway, we're talking about Gladiator 2. G'day, it's Adam here again with another quick instant movie review for you. So tonight, I caught Gladiator 2. This is the latest film directed and co-produced by 86-year-old Ridley Scott and is a sequel to his 2000 film Gladiator, which starred Russell Crowe. What's this one all about? Well, it's set many years after Maximus met his fate and young Lucius witnessed the death of Maximus, his father, at the hands of his uncle, which was terrible. So anyway, Paul Mescal plays Lucius. Now he discovers that he is the son of Maximus and Lucia, once again played by Connie Nielsen. And he realizes he has to enter the Colosseum after the powerful emperors of Rome, led by General Maximus Arcadius, Pedro Pascal, have conquered his home. So he learns he has to fight as a gladiator for Mark Rimus, played by Denzel Washington, who himself was a former slave, who now plans to overthrow the emperors and have all of the power of Rome in his hands. But Lucius, with rage in his heart and the future of the empire at stake, he looks to the past to find strength and honor, which he needs to return Rome to the people. Oh yeah. As I mentioned, this is a sequel to Gladiator. For many, many years, there was discussions of a sequel. Now, if you didn't know, Maximus, played by Russell Crowe, died in that first film. So it's going to be very interesting to work out how to bring him back. They were looking at maybe doing an afterlife type of thing. The original writers of Gladiator were coming back. And it all didn't quite work out. David Scarpa is the one writing this one, and he's worked with Ridley Scott quite a number of times, most notably probably on All the Money in the World, which was that troubled production which ended up having to replace Kevin Spacey out of most scenes because of all the drama that he was having at the time. Now, Harry Gregson Williams takes over composition duties from Hans Zimmer. He has written a whole heap of different scores and has worked with Ridley Scott and Tony Scott on a lot of different things, including Man on Fire, which was also the Denzel Washington connection. John Matheson is back. He was the guy who did the cinematography on the original film, and he won a BAFTA and was nominated for an Oscar at the time for his work. So who knows what could happen with this one. As I mentioned, Paul Mescal basically takes up center stage in, I mean, I guess you could say one of his, first leading man performances, but he's been in a lot of stuff previous to that. He was amazing in, I think it was called All of Us Strangers, which was a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is on Disney+. He was also in After Sun, which is a really fantastic movie. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But he has to fit the mantle, I suppose, of Rusty, And what's interesting about this is that it very much sets itself out at the very beginning not to have to take the place of Maximus. He is a different person to Maximus. He has the same desires for revenge, and a lot of those similar themes do become retread. But the thing with this is it's a very different story, and it's really entertaining. This film is fantastic. Now, I was a little bit afraid. I'm not going to lie. There was some relatively ropey CG at the very beginning, and I'm like, is this just going to turn into a massive CG fest? And at the time, I suppose Gladiator was quite well respected for the revolutionary special effects that were done on that film, at the time, with all the tigers and all the Colosseum stuff and big sweeping arrow shots. It was pretty well thought of at the time. It's been pretty revolutionary. Looking back now, a bit ropey. This one, a bit ropey. But what I can tell you is it's got some absolutely electric uh, fight sequences and action sequences. Like, this is really edge of your seat type of stuff, and really expertly directed. You can see everything that's happening. Nothing is sort of lost in the mix. Obviously, Ridley loves his really tight close-ups of things like hands and grain and wheat and all those things. Like, he just loves it. So we do get a lot of nice close-ups, but we also get lots of really sweeping visual shots. It's very interesting as a director looking at Ridley Scott. Like, there's a lot of moments where the camera just doesn't stand still. It's like everything is some sort of a tracking shot or some sort of a jib shot or an overhead shot. But then in the other instance, he's not afraid to hold a wide shot to let you see what the scene is doing, and then cutting into a close-up. So at every stage of the game, we've got a really good perspective on what's going on with the fight sequences, which is really, really great. Everyone was great in this. Pedro Pascal is really, really great in this film as well. Connie Nielsen is great, and as good as Paul Mescal is, bloody Denzel steals the show. Denzel Washington in this film is 100% stealing every scene that he is in. He has this really quirky persona. He's got it down pat, doesn't he? I mean, it's almost in every film. But I was watching tonight some of the dialogue that was being delivered. Certainly in the early stages, I'm like, oh, even the dialogue's a bit ropey dialogue, ropey CG. I was starting to get very worried in the early scenes. And then Denzel comes on, and it's kind of like, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like he lifts all the material and breaks down easy sentences and easy monologues into something which is just lifts it, breaks his words up, accentuates words, throws in a bit of a mannerism or a look, as part of his dialogue. So it's not just the straight lines he's delivering the emotion behind it and putting his own quirky play on things. There were some classic moments tonight that were just full on Denzel loving it, and he is in conniving mode in this film, and I relished every moment he was on screen. He's given some extremely flamboyant outfits to wear, and I went and saw this with my mum tonight, and she goes, I think Denzel is having trouble with those robes. And I'm like, nope, he's not. He's looked at these robes and gone, this is how I'm going to carry them. This is how I'm going to work with them. This is how they're going to work with me. And there is one scene when Denzel is on this horse and this massive golden cape is flowing behind him, and I'm just like, that's Denzel Washington stealing the show. Yeah, he was amazing, and some damn fine scenes. Anyway, everyone is great. The action is fantastic. Yes, there's some relatively ropey CG, but there's also some fantastic action sequences on boats, in arenas, out of arenas, on land, like everywhere. It's great. So I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It went for 2.5 hours, and I didn't really feel the runtime at all. I felt like everything was hugely justified. And yes, it does run into some familiar tropes along the way, and there is some callbacks, but this is a sequel to a highly successful film that everyone has been waiting for a sequel to come out forever. So you're not going to forget the past of that movie and just move through it. That whole thing is a metaphor for the journey that our lead character goes on in this one. So he's not forgetting the past, he's acknowledging it, but moving towards the future. And wow, great stuff. Ridley Scott, you've actually you've done the impossible and created an amazing sequel that I think could potentially tip over into being better than the original, which is a big ask. So Gladiator 2, I would probably give an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was really, really entertaining. I had a great night at the movies tonight. I thought it was really good. So definitely need to see it on the biggest screen possible. Do not stuff around and see it in a tiny little screen or wait for it to come to streaming. You're going to lose half of the amazing soundtrack, amazing Foley, amazing performances, huge vistas. This is an epic big screen film. Do not wait. Go and see it in the cinema with the biggest sound, the biggest screen possible. You will not be disappointed. It was a great night out. Okay, that is my review of Gladiator 2. What sequel has completely surprised you? What was one film that you went into going, there's no way this is going to be better than the first one, and then come out and be completely surprised? Maybe it's not even the first, maybe it's not even the sequel. Maybe it's the third film. Just thinking off the top of my head, would I go as far as to say that Last Crusade is better than Raiders? It's a big call, but those two films are probably a good example of of three films, the original trilogy, that really held up beautifully. Maybe you're a fan of Matrix Reloaded. I don't think that'll be in the conversation. Maybe Christmas Vacation is better than Vacation and European Vacation. Maybe you're going down that line. I don't know. Comment below, let me know. Maybe it's Police Academy 3. Is it Citizens on Patrol? I can't remember if that was the third one. Or Back in Action, maybe. I can't remember. But anyway, comment below, let me know. And as always, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your goldfish. They'll forget. They'll remember again tomorrow when you tell them again. And I look forward to catching up with you all next time here in my car.